Alright, so we're ready to start week 1 of the instructor course. Now the way we're going to open up the first instructor class is by teaching a kick-butt martial arts class first. That's why it's important that you watch all the DVDs first and read the manual cover to cover before you start the first instructor course class. That way when you open up with this martial arts class you're going to teach, which is basically, you're going to demonstrate how it's done, right? So when you start with this first martial arts class, you'll be hitting all the different techniques off the bat. Because the idea is to shock and awe them with what an amazing class you're going to teach. When I do the first class, the way I think of it is like, this is going to be, you learn the instructor pledge where it says that every class is the most, the best class of your life. But when I start out, I'm like, this is going to be the best class I've ever had time. I really go overboard. And when we do the class, I tell everybody, okay, get your running shoes. And right after we do the class, we go out, we run 1 mile together. It's only good, add 10 minutes to the class time. We run 1 mile together, and then outside in the parking lot, we bring it in. I announce my student of the class and the move of the class, and I give them a little speech, and we go, okay, on 3, 1, 2, 3, FFA, And when they come in, they're like, wow, that was an awesome class. And that's by utilizing all the techniques, every single technique in the course. So after I teach this amazing class, which gets them sweating, which cuts the tension, gets them in a good mood, okay? Also gets them to start knowing each other, because if you have a bigger school and you have morning classes, evening classes, you have different students that might not know each other. Now when they come in, is when I ask, and I go, so what did I do technique-wise? What kind of techniques did I use? And some people will notice some things. Some people will say, oh, you called out the student of the day, oh, you did this, oh, you did that. But there'll be a lot of stuff they didn't notice. And you'll say like, did any of you guys notice that I called you each by your name at least 3 times? Did anybody here notice that I physically touched each of you at least once? So then, like, they start going like, no, whoa, And I give away a couple of things they didn't notice. And I go, we're going to start learning, by the time we're done with this 12-week course, you're going to know every little trick that I did today in this class. So now it's like, wow. Now depending on the time of day, is like if it's around lunchtime by the time this class is over, this is when I'll call for a break and order bring Gatorades for everybody, have a cooler with Gatorades for everybody, and I get some pizza in, and let everybody cool down from the workout, have their Gatorade and stuff, and then begin the class. If you feel it's not the right time for the break, just offer Gatorades to everybody, and then start the course up, and whenever it's right to do the break, the pizza break, you do it, but there should be a pizza break. The food's a good way of putting them in a good mood and during that first time doing this instructor course. And also it is a long period of time, it's 5 to 6 hours, so you should feed them. Okay? So now, once you've done your break, everyone comes in. You start off by making sure everybody knows each other, have everyone stand up, say their name and stuff, and then go ahead and break everybody off into groups. So, groups of 3 to 4 people. Don't do 2-person groups. 2 people, that's not really a group, So you break everyone up into groups of 3 or 4, and you're going to open up a discussion. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask them certain questions, and you're going to have them spend a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, depending what you feel. I don't like to put time limits on these things, because if you feel like they're really coming up with a lot of ideas, but just by walking around, I don't want to put a break to that. So just basically give them a few minutes to answer these questions amongst themselves. And then once they've answered the question amongst themselves, you say time, and then everybody, you pick one person from each group to present the findings of their group. So I got my manual in front of me. So the questions we ask is 1, what do the martial arts provide? In the manual, don't put an answer for you, because there's so many answers, and you want to let the people in your class dictate this. At this point, you're not going to interject with any of your own ideas. You're going to let them all speak, and then at the end, when it's already been concluded, what everyone agrees is whatever the answer is to these discussion questions, is when you interject with your own opinion as well. But what you can do is use the Socratic method, which is Socrates' method of asking questions to guide them a certain way. For example, they say, what do the martial arts provide? And someone says something like, oh, it provides fitness. You can say something like, and what else? And what besides fitness does the martial arts provide? And then someone say, well, self-defense, confidence, Or if someone opens up with confidence, you can say, how does the martial arts provide confidence? Well, because you learn that you can do things you didn't think you could do, and you go, okay, there's one, and using questions. I mean, I was just trying to think of stuff right now. This is not the easiest topic to come up with Socratic questions for, but the other ones you'll see how. So you start asking questions to pull things out from them and get more out of them, but don't interject with your own ideas about what does the martial arts provide. So next question: what benefits did you gain from the martial arts? This is now kind of like a trip down memory lane where people start thinking about all the things they've been getting from training, and it makes them more grateful and it makes them understand how important being an instructor is, because you're able to provide these kind of benefits as an instructor. Which is the next question: what makes the martial arts instructor job more important and or significant versus other jobs? The instructor job, to whoever's teaching, should feel like the most important and best job in the world, because to me it's that way. For me, I like this job. Well, I was predestined to become an engineer, and I dropped out of college and did this because I feel that as an instructor I'm able to reach out to more people on a personal level during times when they really need some guidance versus in an office as an engineer. Don't get me wrong, engineers have a great important role, but for me personally, I love the hands-on ability to work with troubled kids and different people that needed my help in a time when they were low, and I had direct access to them as their instructor, a direct influence over them as an instructor. So different people will start talking, and this is a good discussion topic, and people will start saying, some people will say, oh, because you can help someone who is 300 pounds get to 150 pounds and change their entire life and save their life. Oh, because you might save a woman from getting raped in the street, or a child from being abducted, and people will start coming up with all the different reasons why this is a very important job, which is something that, it's a big pre-frame that they need to understand, that they're not just doing, some silly job, they're about to do a very important thing by becoming a martial arts instructor. What is a role model and why are they important? Being a role model is a big part of being an instructor. You can't deny it. You're always considered a role model to people, and it is a responsibility behind being a martial arts instructor. It's a big responsibility. If you come up there and act a jerk and talk about getting drunk and doing drugs and talk about doing things that most people consider immoral, you talk about going to strip joints and this and that in front of your students. There's a lot of people that look up to you, and especially kids and teenagers and stuff, and they're coming to the school and they're hoping for that Mr. Miyagi, for the wisdom of the instructor. And by doing that, by being a bad role model, you're gonna have less ability to help these kids and to help the adults as well. A lot of people they don't have guidance in their life, they don't have direction. At least that's how it was for me. And the martial arts instructor, through martial arts, if he is a role model, can do a lot of good for these people. And that's a discussion topic you want everyone to talk about. Which the next question is, describe the qualities you look for in a role model. And people start with different qualities that role models should have. Like they lead by example, they care about other people, not just themselves. They live healthy lifestyles. And people start coming up with all the different things that they look for in a role model. What is a leader and why are they important? Obviously, start discussing tons of reasons. First of all, what is a leader, and all the reasons why we need leaders, and why they help people out, and why they're important, and why the instructor needs to be a leader. And then describe the qualities you look for in a leader. And then the next question is, now it's not going to be so much a question, but now you're going to define something. You call it a true leader. And a true leader is somebody who is not only a leader, but is also a role model. Because you can have someone be a leader, someone who's charismatic and commands a presence and motivates people, but he might not be a role model. If you think about it, every gang, the most ruthless street gang, has a leader, right? So just because you're a leader doesn't mean you're a role model. And a true leader is someone who is a leader and a role model. And you're going to also discuss what this means to everybody to become a true leader, and how do they think the lives of the students in the gym would be affected by if their instructors were true leaders. So in other words, if you were to become a true leader, you meaning the students in the instructor course, what effect could you have on the lives of your students? So there's lots of discussion now. See, so this is taking time. The way this is playing out right now, you present the question, you hammer it out, then you call each group, they say one thing, maybe more discussion comes about it, you move to the next topic. So now, the next one is, you ask everyone to talk, you talk about your own experiences being influenced by a true leader in the martial arts. So obviously, to be in a position you're in right now, where you have your own school, where you met Master Lloyd, where you purchased this DVD system, I can already tell you that there was someone that had a big influence on you in your martial arts path. So share the story. Share the story with your students, and ask anybody if they have a similar experience about a true leader inspiring them in the martial arts. And then you're going to have someone share. You know, someone's going to say something and someone else might say something, and this is good dialogue. It starts letting everybody else know the kind of influence that they can have as a martial arts instructor. Now, this is where you can introduce the concept of fake it until you make it. Now what this means is this: very few people are, by their own definitions, of true leaders. They're going to say all the things they think a true leader is, and very few of them are going to be that. I mean, I wasn't when I first started out. So right now you're going to ask your people there, you're going to tell them, hey look, do you think we all agree it's very important to be a true leader. We all agree we can do a lot of good things for our students as true leaders. So let's be true leaders. And if you aren't a true leader right now, don't worry about it. You're going to fake it. You're going to fake it till you make it a reality. So in other words, if you got a drinking problem, or let's start with smoking. Some people smoke cigarettes. We've had a couple of instructors smoke cigarettes when they started out. But let's say you're a smoker. Do you want all your students to be smokers? No. You prefer your even the most avid smoker I know will never say they hope that their students become smokers. So what we'll do is this: anytime you're around the school, you're never seeing smoking. You're not seeing smoking in the parking lot. You're not seeing with a pack of cigarettes in your bag. You know, whenever you're around the school, you're never smoking. Whenever you're in a public setting where there might be students, you're not smoking. And before you know it, by playing that role of a non-smoker, it's going to domino for you quitting cigarettes. And this is the way it is with all your other habits. You fake it until it becomes reality. You know, if you don't want your students to curse, you don't curse. And anytime you're in school, you never curse. And with time, the cursing goes away. Same thing with if you want people to address you as sir or ma'am. If you're a woman instructor, you address your students as sir, ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir. And before you know it, it's like it is who you are. You may have never been the kind of person to address people as sir or ma'am, but since you've been doing it so much in the school, you know, faking the role because it's not the way you were. Now, when you're out in public, you talk to the waiter, you say hello, sir. When you talk to anybody you see in the street, you say hey, sir, hey, ma'am, and it becomes you. Okay, so you introduce the concept of fake it until you make it, and ask everyone how trying to be a better role model for their students will make themselves better people as well. So how you being a true leader makes your life better. Now, the next thing you're gonna put out into the group discussion is the question of what is success. And people are gonna say a lot of things, and this is when the Socratic method has to kick in, because some people will say, "Oh, someone who's rich," you know, and then you can come back with them and go, "Okay, let me ask you a question. Was Kurt Cobain a success right before he blew his brains out with a shotgun?" So then they're gonna think about it, and they're gonna be like, "Well, maybe not." So okay, we'll come up with another definition about success, and then they start thinking about it, and let them all think and think. You hear a lot of different things. Someone who's happy with their life, you know, you hear all kinds of definitions, and at the end you can introduce this quote from Earl Nightingale, which is a great quote, which says that success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Keep in mind, the two big details are progressive and worthy. For instance, if your goal was to get black belt and you just started martial arts last week, and I go, "Hey, guess what? Oh, your goal is to be a black belt? Here." And you tell her for your black belt, you put on that guy, you sign the diploma, and goes, "Here, you're a black belt." Is that person really a success? No, it was too instant. And in many ways, you see the same thing with lotto winners. Won the lottery, they're rich, so their success. Well, if you do the studies on lotto winners, a lot of them are very miserable. Matter of fact, it's a quiet thing that no one talks about, but you can research it. Most lotto winners go through terrible times. They get lawsuits from their family members. Some of them commit suicide. A lot of them end up losing all the money and being worse off than before they won the lotto. Because it's too instantaneous. Okay, that instantness takes away from the feeling of success. But success is definitely the progressive realization. Back to that example with the black belt. The guy who puts in 8 years of training, grinding, studying, and then finally gets his black belt, he feels like a success. With the money example, the guy who puts in 10, 15 years into his business until finally he becomes financially independent, that's a successful guy. It's the progressive realization of a worthy goal or dream. Just think about how good you're feeling now, picking up this stuff after the years you spent grinding to get to this point, where you opened up your own gym and stuff and went through the trials and tribulations. And when you become financially independent with using our stuff and using your determination, you're really going to feel good. Versus if I just hand you the keys of a big gym and say, here, it's your gym. Take my word for it. It's the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Which does not necessarily need to be about money. Which is something that you'll all come to an agreement with during the discussion. So now we're going to get to what I consider the turning point of this first class, and probably the biggest pivot point of the entire instructor course, which is the attitude versus skill chart. This I consider like a magic trick, and when it was first done to me, it was done by Master Lloyd. He did this to me in Maryland, and it totally blew my mind. The question you present to your students is, if the gym blew up, like if all the students, the entire school, all the instructors, everybody was inside the building except you, and a bomb went off and killed everybody and blew up the whole school. Now you have no choice but to train at another gym. What would you be looking for in your new instructor? List all the different qualities you look for in your new instructor. So you ask everybody on their own to write down a piece of paper. And you could do it for 3 minutes. Ask them for 3 minutes to write down as many qualities they can think of. Then after the 3 minutes are over, you ask everyone to start reading them out, and you're going to write them up on a dry erase board. So people are going to say things like hardworking, leads by example, caring, patient, all kinds of different qualities, courageous. You're gonna write all these things down. You say good technique, yada yada yada. Now once they're all written down, no one has any more stuff to add to it, and it should be a big giant list. And when you have no more things to add to it, is then when you say, okay guys, now you get a different color marker, and you go, now we're gonna label each of these qualities with an S or an A. The S stands for skill-based, and the A stands for attitude-based. And we decide what's attitude-based, what's skill-based. Now, when you're doing this, there are going to be certain qualities that are going to be debatable amongst people. For instance, good communicator or good humor. Some people will say, oh, but to be a good communicator, that's a skill you develop. Or, oh, good humor, well, you have to be fun. You have to know good jokes to be funny. Any quality that's attitude-based, like friendliness, you could technically train and be better at. But the best way to decide if something's attitude or skill-based for this exercise is to present the following situation. Let's say someone had a gun to your mother's head or to your child's head, or any loved one had a gun to their head and said, be this thing right now when you go into that class. Could you do it or not? So for instance, good communicator. I got a gun to your 3-year-old's head. Get in that class and be a good communicator with those people, or else I'll blow their brains out. Could they become a good communicator? Yes. Okay? Even if you talk with slang and stuff, and you're like a street kid, you will find a way to communicate well with everybody with a big smile and this and that, and you get down because you have to. Why? Because it's an attitude-based thing. If I say have good humor, you'll get out there and you'll crack some jokes and you'll get some laughs out of people. Okay? If you really wanted to, if you really had to, because humor is an attitude. Now, if I said, be a black belt. If you're a blue belt, you can't come out and be a black belt. Like, do a flying armbar. If you don't know how to do a flying armbar, you've never done it before, it doesn't matter how much attitude you have, you can't do it. Like a backflip. those are skill based. Okay, like if I say have 50 fights of experience right now, have 50 fights experience. I don't have that experience because it's skill based. Okay, so that's how you differentiate something's attitude or skill based, and you can present that definition to the class when they start debating about is something skill or attitude. So now when you go on this list, I've been doing this now. We've had about, I think I said earlier, we have about 8 semesters worth of this class, and to this day, when we do this list, about 90 to 99% of the list is always attitude. There'll be like 3 S's and all A's. No one ever goes, must be a black belt. I haven't had that one yet. Some people say technical, which would be a skill. But I've never had someone say, must have excellent wrestling, excellent jiu-jitsu, excellent kickboxing, must have a great double leg,